Is geskakel op 'n GROOTplaas. Ons gas saam met ons vandag is Kanyiso Miti, 'n branddienstebestuurder by Agri Oos-Kaap. Kanyiso, good morning and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Dupi. Good morning to the viewers.
So we're talking about burn permits. Firstly, why is it so necessary for landowners to have a burn permit before they do any controlled burning?
It is very important to request a burn permit from our local fire chiefs and from the chief, the FPO, which is the fire protection officer. In this way, we are aware of what is going on in our areas. It also helps regarding people burning unnecessarily. So we usually, with the burn permit, you're requested to burn in favorable weather conditions. You are requested that your area is safe to burn. Your area, you've got adequate firefighting equipment as well. So with the FPA's assistance, we are able then to liaise with the member, with the fire chief officers, with the local fire departments, to ensuring that everything runs smoothly for the landowner and to make sure that their neighbors are also fully informed of what is happening around them.
The big question always is, especially when it comes to the farmers, is how easy is the process and what kind of information do I need to gather when I am doing my application for a burn permit?
So with a burn permit application, we always request a map from the landowner of where he intends to burn, what he is going to be burning, and how long he intends to burn. So also the area, how big the area he intends to burn. This helps, it's very helpful for everyone just to be knowledgeable and to be aware of what is going on in that particular area. So there are high risk areas that we look into. Within an FPA, there's high risk areas, then there's low risk areas. So with the higher risk areas, more precautions obviously need to be taken note of. Fire teams are on standby in some areas so that when things do happen to go wrong, which we always hope that they will not, because when they do go wrong, that sometimes that also means that the landowner was not sufficiently prepared for their controlled burn.
So you also mentioned when issuing a permit, it is necessary to make sure that there is enough firefighting equipment by the landowner. But is there some sort of formalized firefighter training that everybody involved in the burn needs to go through?
Some FPAs do provide that service to have firefighting training. Municipalities offer that service as part of their program as well to educate people. So I know that with municipalities, they go to schools, they go to rural setups and communities. So they also have the platform to go to landowners, to farming areas, to educate landowners and their staff on how to prepare for fires, for controlled burning and the uncontrolled. So, for example, lightning fires, what happens in a controlled setup, what you should be doing. So what kind of equipment is requested. Any kind of firefighting equipment is needed, but it depends on the terrain. It depends on where it is burning. So if it's raining in mountainous, I mean, if there's fires in mountainous areas, we can't exactly send a fire truck up there because it won't be deemed safe for a fire truck to go up in a mountainous area. So all that information is laid out to the members on behalf of the FPA and the local fire department that provides the training.
So how long have burn permits been a thing? And obviously certain uncontrolled burns in the past probably contributed to formalizing this process.
So in the past, in some municipalities, they charged for burn permits. In some areas, they still do. So in some FPAs, is that when you're a part of the FPA, we ensure that the burn permit process is not paid for. So in some municipalities, you find that they pay exorbitant amounts for a burn permit, and that makes landowners vulnerable in them deciding to burn without a permit, because if they are fined by the local fire chief, then they would rather than pay the fine than to go to to the fire department to request for a burn permit. So now with the FPAs, we have a close relation with the municipalities, with the local fire department, that if you're an FPA member, then a burn permit then should not be at a cost. It all comes of part of being an FPA member. So we will then request all that information from the member, liaise with the fire department, and then they issue the burn permit. So the FPA works as the middleman between the FPA and the fire department and the landowner, so that the process runs smoothly to avoid uncontrolled burns.
So you keep on referring to FPA, which is the Fire Protection Association. Why is there an institution like this, and why do landowners need to be part of the association?
So an FPA is a legislated space. We work according to the National Fires Forest Act. So with that, there's compliances that need to be upheld. So with a structured a structured FPA, it is very important that we follow the Act, and within the Act there are stipulations where the FPA needs to have a strategy, a veld fires management strategy, and FPA rules, where the landowners or the FPA members adhere to those rules. So in certain areas you burn, it's ideal to burn in certain times of the year. Where fire breaks need to be made, clearing of vegetation needs to be done. So with the FPA, then we know when to burn, how to burn, following the burn permit structures of the municipalities, which is stipulated, which is legislated as well, and that the fire department also follow their Fire Brigades Act, and the Fire Brigades Act with the National Veld Fires Forest Act work together to ensure that we avoid things such as runaway fires or uncontrolled burning by the landowners.
Kanyiso, we'll be back with you in a second. Dis ons gas op GROOTplaas vandag, Kanyiso Miti. Sy is die branddienstebestuurder by Agri Oos-Kaap. Ons gesels 'n bietjie oor die noodsaaklikheid van brandpermitte. Tyd nou eers vir die GROOTplaas kalender. Jy is geskakel op GROOTplaas en ons gas saam met ons vanoggend is Kanyiso Miti, branddienstebestuurder by Agri Oos-Kaap. Ons gesels oor brandpermitte. So Kanyiso, just before the break, you told us what a FPA was, and especially this year, it feels like weather conditions have been very, very strange. Parts of the country are still very dry. Other parts have seen a lot of rain and flooding. Is there some sort of prohibition or notices that have been put in place for certain farmers to not, or landowners not to do any burning this year?
At the moment, there isn't something that is stipulated, but an annual prohibition notice is sent out from the previous year, which overlaps into a new year. So with all the recent fires that have been happening for the last couple of weeks, for the last month or two, is all contribution towards global warming. Unfortunately, at this point, the Eastern Cape is running rather dry versus the other parts of the country. So with the prohibition notice, in some areas they've cut off the burn permit applications due to the high temperatures that we are currently experiencing in the province. So in other areas they have limited burn permits, in other areas not so much, but we are taking extra precaution as a province as to when to burn with the high conditions. So in some areas what you would then advise is that people need to, if they're going to burn, they need to burn as early in the day as possible so that they finish as quickly as possible before the temperatures rise even further than they should be. So you'd ask them to start burning, let's say at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you make sure that they're done by lunchtime before the temperatures rise even further. So the prohibition notice is important. It is legislated. The weather services is involved. Government is involved. Municipalities are involved in discussing those weather patterns and what we can do going forward with the dry conditions that we are experiencing in the Eastern Cape.
So we've touched on it, and let's stay on the weather condition situation. What are the favorable weather conditions when it comes to burning and especially applying for the permit?
Well, we'd like to have a bit of moisture, which we currently don't have at the moment in the province. So right now it's drier, there's more wind, there's absolutely minimal to no rain that we're currently experiencing in the province. This is why we've got a lot of fires, especially up in the coast. So here down in the coast, it's a lot more dry than it has been before. So with the weather conditions having changed, we are also being precautioned by the weather services on how to burn, when to burn. So at this point, with the fires that have been happening north of the province, has been caused by lightning fires. So with that, there was chances of rain, but due to lightning and drier conditions, this is why we have a whole lot more fires. In the coastal part of the province, it's just from the wind that we have been experiencing, with the high winds, with the higher temperatures, with the drier conditions that we are experiencing in the province. So this is why in the province at present, we're experiencing such high fires than we've had previously. And unfortunately, with the with the KwaZulu-Natal experiencing wet conditions or floods, it's favorable for them in terms of not experiencing fires, unfortunately. There's always a catch-22 when it comes to these things. So with our dry conditions in the province, we are experiencing a lot more fires in the province, especially in the coastal areas of the province.
So, Kanyiso, let's end off with this. I think for most farmers, it's common knowledge, but how can burn permits help landowners clear bush and create fire breaks while reducing the risk of runaway fires?
So with a valid burn permit, like I said previously, is that with a burn permit, you explain in the permit what you are intending to burn. So should you have invasive aliens or in your particular area, so we do then request that people express that they do have alien vegetation that they need to clear, because with some of these species, they come with a high risk content, which could cause a lot more damage. So when they are burning, they need to make sure that they're clearing the area afterwards. They need to make sure that they're getting rid of the roots. They're destroying the roots of those alien invasive, because they're going to regrow if we do not clear those alien invasive plants after burning. So it is of vital importance that the landowner, when they are burning, they need to stipulate that they're also clearing alien invasive plants, that they clear them and that they remove them from the root to avoid or to minimize the risk of them growing back again.
Now, just quickly, we have about 20 seconds. If farmers want to find out more, is there a website that they can consult?
They can consult their local FPAs, so their provincial FPAs. So for the Eastern Cape, you can contact the Eastern Cape Umbrella Fire Protection Association, which is the www.ecufpa.co.za. They can also contact Agri Eastern Cape, www.agriec.co.za, and they can get all that information on the help desks and contact our offices as well.
Kanyiso, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it. Dis Kanyiso Miti, branddienstebestuurder by Agri Oos-Kaap oor die noodsaaklikheid van brandpermitte. Dis al waarvoor ons tyd het vir Grootplaas vir vanoggend. Ons hoop jy het lekker saam met ons gekuier en ons kuier weer môre saam.